Have you ever wondered why, despite immense wealth being created in the world, significant portions of society still struggle, while others accumulate vast fortunes? Karl Marx explains class exploitation primarily through the concept of surplus value, which arises from the capitalist's ownership of the means of production and the workers' need to sell their labor power. For Marx, exploitation is not just about low wages, but a systemic feature of capitalism where the capitalist extracts unpaid labor from the worker. At the heart of Marx's explanation is his labor theory of value, which posits that the value of a commodity is determined by the socially necessary labor time required to produce it. Workers, who own no property other than their ability to labor, must sell their labor power to capitalists to survive. This labor power itself is a commodity, and its value is determined by the labor needed to reproduce the worker, such as food, housing, and other necessities. However, the unique quality of labor power is its ability to produce more value than it itself consumes. When a worker is employed, they work for a certain number of hours, producing goods and services. The capitalist pays the worker a wage that covers the value of their labor power, but the worker typically produces value for exceeding this wage during their workday. The difference between the value the worker produces and the wage they receive is what Marx calls surplus value. This surplus value is appropriated by the capitalist, forming the basis of their profits, and it represents the unpaid labor of the worker. This systematic appropriation is the essence of exploitation. Understanding Marx's theory of exploitation helps us see beyond individual instances of unfair wages and towards the structural dynamics of capitalism. It means recognizing that the profit motive is inherently tied to extracting more value from labor than is returned to the laborer. This framework highlights how class divisions are not accidental but are fundamental to the way a capitalist economy functions, creating an inherent conflict between the owning class, known as the bourgeoisie, and the working class, called the proletariat. Furthermore, Marx introduced concepts like commodity fetishism, which describes how social relationships in production become obscured by the monetary and market relationships between commodities. People tend to perceive commodities as having inherent value rather than seeing them as products of human labor and social relations. This abstraction helps mask the underlying exploitation by making it seem like market forces, rather than human relationships, determine value and distribution. Ultimately, Marx's analysis offers a powerful lens through which to examine economic inequality and social stratification. It challenges us to look beyond surface appearances and understand the deep-seated mechanisms through which wealth is generated and distributed, revealing that exploitation is not a moral failing but an intrinsic outcome of the capitalist mode of production.